The way I want everyone to think of this course is what I refer to as the big picture. The big picture is all the concepts that we cover in this course, all the technologies, and how they all integrate with each other to give us our enterprise environment. We're going to look at Windows Server 2019. I'm going to show you how to install the operating system. I'm going to cover the different editions of Windows Server 2019, licensing, activation. We'll also cover PowerShell. So many of the things we cover, you will become familiar with the PowerShell syntax to complete those tasks as well. Then we'll move on to cover Active Directory. So we'll look at our domain-based environment. I will show you how to install Active Directory. We will create objects, including users, groups, computer accounts. We'll look at all those different types of objects and all the considerations that go into creating those objects. I'll also show you how they can be managed by using group policy. We also cover storage area networks, usually just called a SAN. A SAN is a way to take multiple disks, connect them to a server, and you can create a massive amount of storage. Petabytes, exabytes, just these massive amounts of storage can be achieved using our iSCSI SAN. I will show you how that's configured through demonstrations. We'll look at how you can make that fault tolerant so there's no single point of failure in how you actually store your data. We'll also cover managing Hyper-V and the virtual machines. So you can take one physical computer and you can host multiple operating systems on it that will be installed on these virtual machines. I'll show you how to manage file servers. So we'll look at going to a file server and managing the types of files that can be saved. We'll be able to limit this based on the file extension. We'll be able to set quotas so I can control how much data users can actually save into our file server. We'll also look at different types of server configurations. We'll cover DHCP, Dynamic Host Configuration Protocol. That's a way to assign IP addresses to other devices on the network. So my Windows 10 machines on the network, they have to have IP addresses assigned. We'll configure that using DHCP. We will also configure DNS, the Domain Naming Service, which its primary purpose is to take a name that you know and resolve that name to an IP address. So if someone connects to an application or web server or file server in your environment, they have to have a way to take that name and get it resolved to the IP address. So we'll look at all the different configurations in DNS. We'll also look at WSUS, the Windows Software Update Service. That's used to deploy Windows updates. So the updates for my server operating systems, updates for Windows 10, we'll look at WSUS, and I'll show you how I can have those updates downloaded to WSUS. We can see those updates, then approve those to be installed on our client machines on the network so everything stays current. I'll show you how to set up a failover cluster. So if you have file servers or web servers or applications that have to work all the time, then you can't have just one server that has your application on it, because if that server were to fail, your application, your files, all those things will be unavailable. So we'll look at how to build a failover cluster and have multiple servers host our applications and all our data. I also cover disaster recovery. So we'll look at the backup and restore capability, and it's a lot of things associated with that. A lot of different ways we can back up. We can have this backed up within our environment. We can back this up to the cloud if I want to put this in Azure. So we'll look at those different possibilities. We also cover virtual private networks, these VPNs, so my users can have remote access to all the resources in our environment. If they're working from home, if they're traveling and they work in a hotel, we'll look at how that gets set up so I can ensure that when my users are remote, they are able to access these resources and they're able to do so securely. What I've also added in this course is the integration with Azure. Most environments will use some Azure components, whether that's Microsoft 365 or other components within Azure. The majority of organizations are now using some type of cloud-based resources. I will show you how to set up Azure so you can synchronize accounts from your on-premise environment, your Active Directory you have in your own environment, how those accounts can be synchronized to Azure. So if you have applications in Azure, users are able to connect to those. An example of that would be, I could have a virtual machine in Azure. So I'll show you how to create virtual machines in the cloud that run Windows Server 2019, and we'll be able to log into those virtual machines, manage resources, install applications, as if they were in our on-premise environment. We'll also look at how this can integrate with applications like Office 365. So I can have a user account in my on-premise Active Directory. I can synchronize that account out to Azure. Then I can give it access to all these Office 365 services and thousands of other applications. So in this course, we'll look at how all these individual settings are configured and how they all integrate with each other. Very exciting course. And this will make you a very well-rounded administrator. There are also many other topics that we cover, like print services and other things that are not in the list. These are just some of the most common topics that we'll cover in the course, but there is a lot more than what's on the slide that we cover. So be sure to look through the course outline and you can see all the topics the course actually covers.